Nope, Bob Alper said I got to make you cry.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, well, it's a great night. I mean, the emotion. You worked really hard as an athlete, and here it is, a few years later, and now you're into the Hall of Honor. It's got to be just an amazing feeling.
It's absolutely amazing feeling, and to be here with Vic, I'm the second Montgomery guy, but to be here with Vic. But as I accept this individually, it's your teammates that get you here. And I had great teammates in basketball and football, and Jim Smith and John Clardy. I got to pinch myself. I'm one lucky guy.
Take us back to when you were a student athlete here, and football was very successful, 2 national championships, basketball, winning games. What was that like? You were in the center of it all.
Well, yeah, first I want to tell a recruiting story, how John got me. It was a little different than Vic, because John's line to me was, at the time I was considering Gustavus also, University of Minnesota, and St. John's. And John said, if you want a great education, you want to pick St. John's. Don't come here to play football or basketball. Come here because you want a great education. And St. John's absolutely delivered on that. But that was the selling point that got me here. And then to have, again, I pinch myself for the times because, I think our teams set the tradition and the culture for what future St. John's basketball and football is going to be. And, there was one person, I can remember a game early on, we fell behind, and it was Ken Raring. Ken came off the field. Ken was a great All-American. And I was a freshman. And I said, hey, Ken, looks like we got a heck of a game. He says, Mooks, don't worry. He said, at halftime, we're going to be ahead. And guess what? At halftime, we were ahead. So as a freshman, I said, well, that's what St. John's football is. And that's what athletics here is. And I think that was, for me, what started us. And I felt that it was to pass those same things on to other teammates.
How was it playing for Coach Smith and Coach Ghilardi, the similarities and maybe some of the differences?
Yeah, well, first let's start with the similarities. Jim and John, they first of all, they loved you as a person. You knew they cared about you. I think both coaches saw potential in you that you didn't see in yourself. And they knew how to tap that potential. I think they were great coaches, so they knew how to put you in a position. It was your job to execute. Those are pretty good leadership principles if you're going to be a leader.
I'm going to deviate a little bit because I think you've told me a story once how you were in practice for Coach Smith and maybe, yeah, that's the dog. There's just a little bit where he tried to inspire you to give. Yeah. I mean, that was a lesson that you probably, tell the story about how it all came to be, and I bet it's something you reflected on all throughout your life.
Yeah, it was early on. It was a practice, and of course, you have to remember, John had 1.5-hour practices, Jim had 2.5-hour practices. So, but this particular day, for some reason, I just was dogging it, to be honest. And so I think Jim saw it, and he blew the whistle. He sent everybody to the free throw lines. And he said, pull me aside. I think it might have been that basket underneath. And he said, hey, Joe, what's going on? And I says, Jim, I just don't have it today, but don't worry, I'm a gamer. I'll be there for the games. And Jim looked at me and he says, see those guys out there? They need your game every minute on the practice field. And I think that affected me in terms of saying I owe it both to St. John's and my teammates to give everything I've got while I'm here.
And I'm sure you reflected on that at work.
It affected my whole life, in my professional life, and even my work here on the board and other areas. Yep.
Why has it been so important? You brought up the board, and that's where I was going to go next. Yeah. So important to stay involved with St. John's.
Well, first of all, my parents could not have afforded to send me to St. John's, so it was Father Lanfranc and Dunstan and Walter Rieger who said, this is the place for you. And I felt it was the place for me. I think St. John just gave me a great education. I got a great, and I don't think I would have had the opportunities I had without that education. At graduation, and I know the monks, the only reason I could be here is because the monks gave back to the school, so I could afford to come here. So at graduation, I said, if I am privileged enough to be able to give back, I want to give back both time and treasure. And that really what drove me to get involved with the Alumni Association first, the Board of Trustees, and St. John's is just a wonderful place. And if you want me to cry, I will cry, because this it's in my heart and soul, and it will always be in my heart and soul.
That's a good way to close. Congratulations, Joe.